Today we will learn how to pass parameters. What is this passing of parameter? Okay, think about this. If you have a list of records, okay, you display a list of records, and then the user wants to click on one single record and go and see the details of that. Got it? So that in that case, what happens? For example, let's say this is your page. Here you have on the side, on the left hand side, you have the list of records. All the records are listed. Okay, and what you want to do is you want the user to come and click on any one of the record, and let's say he clicks on this record. Details of this record should appear here on this side, right? You might have seen a lot of these kind of pages on websites and all. So in this case, what needs to be done, this parameter needs to be passed from this link to this area. Got it? So some information needs to be passed from this side to this side so that this record can be opened here on this side. Got it? So what happens actually when the user clicks on this, first of all, let's understand what exactly happens in the backend, and then we can actually see how we are actually going to write the program. So when a user comes and clicks on a record, ID or some other information of this record should be taken and it should be passed on to this side. That's what actually should happen. So from this section, the uh, information should be passed to the other section. Got it? So this is passing of parameters. Now, how do we do this passing of parameters in Salesforce? Let's understand that. We have been creating lists. In case I am supposed to create this kind of a page, how do we do this? Okay.
Hi, should we use the new meeting link or the old one?
The one that you have already used, the same one that you are logged.
Yeah, I came to the new meeting link and nobody was there.
No, this is the link. There is no new meeting link. Did you get any other link?
Another link from you yesterday afternoon.
Okay. So you can ignore that. I mean, maybe by mistake, instead of typing someone else's name, I might have typed your name. For this meeting, this is the link. Okay. Please delete that other email so that you don't get confused. Sorry for that. Okay. So let's go and create the page. So first thing that you will need here is a list of records, because definitely we need to show the list of records and then we will pass the parameter. So for showing the list of record, what is the best way? Standard list controller. As of now, what we know. So let's go and create a page with a standard list controller. Apex. Yeah, so here we are. You're gonna create the page. First of all, what I need a list of records. So let's work with account, standard controller, account, and record set where. Okay, so let me have this thing here, page block table, and in the page block table we are gonna put the list of accounts. So value is gonna be, what will be values here? Value, anyone? What will be the value for the table?
Name.
Name. That's correct, right? Where
No, it
variable?
should be
Should be acts records at where only.
ACTS.
Do I need the exclamation mark and this curly bracket here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Where variable?
A
Anything.
anything.
Anything. Yes. Okay. Now I need the columns. Hmm, that's that's true. So here is the list of records, list of accounts that I have created. Okay. What I need is, uh, first of all, if you go back to what we were talking about, we need to have two sections, right? Something like this. In these two sections, first half is going to be for the list of records, and this is going to be for the detail. So for let me also create two different sections. So for creating this kind of section, which is the best component? I basically need to create two columns on the page. Which one do you think is the best component to do that? Columns, which component?
Would it be page block, table,
Page,
section 2?
Page block section.
page block section will be fine, I guess. Okay, so let me put the table inside the page block section. Okay. All right. So I have the page block section, and by default it has two columns. So we should be able to see the layout as per our requirement. Yes, this is what we needed. Let me also remove the sidebar so that we have a little more space. Because we are trying to put two things here. So let's have a little more space. Okay. So page block section is ready. List of records is there. Now there are two things which I need to do. One, I should click on this and then I should see the details here. But to click on this should be clickable, right? To click, this should be clickable. So to make it clickable, what we have to do? We'll have to convert it into link, command link kind of a thing. So how do you convert, let's say, the name? How would I convert the name into command link? How do you convert the name into command link?
Apex page, Apex command link, there's an option, right?
Yes. But how would I convert a column into a command link? That's what I'm trying to understand.
You put the command line in. No, I'm not sure.
Anyone? Command link is also one component, right? I'm already using the column component. I want to use the command link component inside the column. What is the best way to do that?
So we can create um, a end tag for a column, apex column, and we can use the command link component between the two column components.
Create the command item within the column.
Hmm. So you guys are just not telling, not speaking that much, or you guys do not really know these things. If you have forgotten these small things in last 1 or 2 days, not a very good sign. If you just want to keep quiet and you're not saying, but you know those things, then good. Okay,
Should be
so
under Apex column.
yeah, so create apex column, close apex column. Inside this, we should put the command link. The way we did, I think we have done input field like that, output field, right? These examples we have done. So the concept is pretty simple. When you have to insert another component inside column component, all that you have to do is you have to start the column, close the column, put the command link or whatever component. Okay, and the value is gonna be your name, right? A dot name. Okay. What is the error?
You have to give apex.
Yeah. What is the error?
Apex form should be included.
Form component. Okay. So that gives me the links. So I have made it clickable. So the end user can come and click on this, but nothing is happening actually. Because what will happen after clicking on that I have not defined yet. I have just made it a link. So you see that there is an option to go and click on this, but once you click on it, nothing is happening. Okay. So it's just reloading the page once again, but it's not doing anything. So now what we need to do is, okay. So now let's again, look back into the logic. So the list of records is ready and it also has the link. And when I click on the link, you also see that the page is getting reloaded, but only the page is getting reloaded. That's it. Nothing else is happening. In the meanwhile, while the page gets reloaded, if I can define a variable, one more variable, think about this. So what I need to do, I should have one more variable, let's say X. Okay. I should be able to define one more variable and I can name it whatever I want. And if I can pass the ID of the record which was clicked on to this variable, my job will be done. That's what I need to do. Define a variable, and this variable should take the value from the record which was clicked on. So if I click on this Burlington Textile, the ID of this variable, if it can be passed, ID of this record, if it can be passed to this variable, my job is done. Now when I click on the link, at that time it's not doing anything. I mean, it's just refreshing the page. But in the meanwhile, before it actually does the refresh, if I can pass the value of the ID to this variable, that's all we need, right? Then that same ID record can be displayed here on the right hand side. So every time someone clicks on the record, this variable gets updated. right hand side data also gets updated. That's it. Correct. So that is the passing of parameter. So we just have to pass the parameter to a variable name. Let's see how do we do that. For that also we have a component. So we have another component called param, which is used for parameter. All that you have to do is in this command link, inside the command link, we will need to pass the parameter. So start the command link, close the command link. Inside the command link, define the parameter. Okay, so this param component actually allows you to define a parameter. This parameter will basically take the value from the record which was clicked on. Okay, from the record which was clicked on or the record which is in context. This param is basically for defining a variable which can take the value from the record in context. So this apex param, we have to define two attributes. One, name of the parameter, name of the variable, which can be anything, call it x. One, value of the parameter. So what is the actual value of the parameter? What value you want to pass? I want to pass a.id. Got it? So what I've done, I've defined a parameter called x. You can call it a variable also, in other words. So it's basically a variable called x, and it's gonna take the value of the selected record's id. Every time you click on the link, the value in this will get updated. Fine.
Command link is not closed. 10, line number 10.
The quotes after command link value is not closed.
Ah,
A dot.
okay. So what I've done here is, this is a variable. I told you this is a variable, this is a parameter, right? And every time you click on a record, it's going to take the value from that particular record. What value it's going to take, that you define. So I've said take the ID. Okay, so it's going to take the ID. Along with ID, I also can define one more parameter. Let's say y, and the value for this is going to be a dot name. Okay, so I've defined two parameters. X will hold the ID of the selected record, y will hold the name of the selected record. Fine. Now these variables are being stored somewhere, right? This is the location where they get stored. Okay, to access that variable, you have to define current page dot parameters. This is where it is getting stored, and then the variable name. Okay, so if you want to call this variable again to display somewhere in the page, this is the location where it is getting stored. Fine. So now let me just put this and say call the other variable also, current page dot parameters dot y. Okay, so I've called these two variables on the right hand side. Basically these two variables have been called in the after the page block table has ended on another page block, because it's two columns. The other page block has got created here on this side. Okay, so the values will be called on this side. Now let's click on a record and see if the value is being passed. See, that's correct. Click on edge communication, the value is being passed. Click on express logistics, right? So ID and name are being passed. Okay, so this is fine. Now what I will do is I'm just gonna use one more component on the right side page block, which is the detail component. Okay, so detail component has an attribute. We have used apex detail component while working with standard controller. What does the detail component do? Anyone? Apex detail component.
Not show the entire record, entire detail of the account, like all the related links.
Yeah, right. Details of the record, account name record, right? Now it shows the details of a record. Which record detail it shows? How will the page understand which record detail it has to show?
Based on the ID.
So we have used detail component with a standard controller. In the standard controller, there is an ID in the URL, right? So it picks the details of that record, the one which has the ID on the URL. It picks the details of that record and shows it to you on the page. How do you use a detail
So
component? Sorry?
here we have to use a variable x.
Now, how do we show the details of a record in this kind of a situation? Because here I'm not supplying any ID in the URL. This is a standard list controller basically. This is not a standard controller. So in this case, in a page where ID is not supplied in the URL, or if it's not a detail page, then your detail component can work with an attribute called subject. Okay. In subject, you can supply the ID of a record, and it will pick the ID from the subject also. So if you're not working with a standard controller, then you have another option of supplying the ID to the detail component, which is called subject. So all that we have to do is we have to pass this value, because this is the ID, to the detail component as a subject. Got it? So let me create a detail component here. Apex detail component subject equals that same thing. Yeah. So in subject, it requires an ID, and I am supplying the ID through this. So every time this ID is gonna get updated, the record will also get updated. So instead of showing one field, I want to show all the details of the record. I can use the detail component with the subject attribute. Okay, let's see if it is working. Yes, it's working. Now details you are getting on the right hand side. It's coming along with the related list. I don't want to see the related list, so let me just remove it. How do you remove the related list? Just go to the detail
Related
components.
list is equal to false.
Yes.
Jeet, can we get the same, the right hand side in tabs also? Like if we design it in tab format, would that work on this page or no?
That will work, but the concept of a tab is that if you click on the tab, then the other tabs become visible, right? So here you want to just click on this link and see the data here. Correct. Okay. Now this edge communication, which appears exactly at the bottom, what I need to do is I need to get it as a title. So all that I have to do is I just will call the y parameter y in the title. Put it here. Go to page block, put title, save it.
Jeet, can we use Apex?
1 second. Yeah. All right. So the title is being displayed. Detail component. Detail has come through the ID. Apart from that, if you wanted to, get any other parameter, you can actually pass that parameter on this link of this record. Right? Yes. Someone was asking some question. Let me know if anyone has any
Can
doubt
we
there.
use Ajax? Ajax?
Can we use eject?
Ajax?
Yes, we can. That's the next topic.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Can you create tab on the right hand side to show the related list there
Can you?
for, for contact and opportunities of the account? Can you create tabs there?
Can you create tabs there? Yes, you can. But I'm not gonna create it now. Fine. You know how to create tabs. You know how to get the details or ID. You guys should try and do that. Fine. Certain things are for you also to practice. Okay. Any other doubts, questions? No? You're good? Okay. Now the next concept that we are gonna do here is, do you notice that when you click on the link, the entire page is getting reloaded? Again, the same concept. Notice here. Click on a record and see here. Full page gets reloaded. Do we need a full page refresh? The answer is no, because header part is static. My list is also static. So what area needs to be updated? Only this one, right? This page block, the right hand side. Now the point is that here your Ajax concept, that partial refresh concept, is not going to work the way we did it for tab panel. Okay, because tab panel had that attribute, predefined attribute of switch type. Here we don't have that. Here we have even a simpler logic, as simpler as compared to the previous one. So what you have to do, first of all, you just have to identify the area that you want to refresh. You don't want to refresh the entire thing, right? Now what is happening when I click on the link? Every time I click on the link, the entire page is getting re-rendered. That's what I don't want. I just want a certain area to be re-rendered. What is the area that I want to be re-rendered? This one. So first of all, go and identify the section or the area which you want to re-render. This page block, let's say. This is what I want to get re-rendered every time the link is clicked. Correct? So it's very, very simple. All that you have to do is, first of all, you have to give an ID to this area. Okay, ID is basically a unique name for this page block, because I have to give those instructions that whenever someone clicks on the link, just re-render this area. So to do that, you have to give the ID to the you have to supply the ID, sorry, you have to define the ID for this area, this page block basically. So ID can be anything again. I call it block 1. Hmm? So block 1 is the unique name for this page block. Instead of block 1, you could have called it ABCD, whatever you want. Save it. Now on the command link, you just have to go and there's an attribute called re-render. There you have to say re-render block 1. By default, the command link re-renders the entire page. Now I have defined the limitation for it. I said, no, you don't need to re-render the entire page. You just need to re-render the block 1. Here, any difficulty in understanding this? So because I have to define it in the command link, I have to give it a unique name, which I've done here. And in the command link, I have called the re-render concept, re-render attribute. I've said re-render block 1. Got the correct? Anyone? Any challenge in understanding this? So this is how we actually use Ajax here in case of a link or a button. Okay, so we can use the re-render attribute. Now just save the code. See, now the entire page is not getting reloaded, if you notice here. Okay, only this part is getting rendered. Clear? Let me know if you are all okay with this. Any questions, please let me know. Fine. So it's pretty simple passing the parameter. Now you can pass parameter based on your requirement. You can pass ID, you can pass some other column name if you needed some other column name or column value basically. I needed ID because I was using the detail component, but it's not that you will always need the ID or something. Right? Okay, good. Now let's go to another section. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk is accessing the Visualforce pages. Okay, so we have been creating the pages, but how do we access the Visualforce pages, especially the standard controller pages? We have seen, for our testing or for the examples that we did, we always supply the ID in the URL. We copy the ID, paste the ID. Is that how we are actually going to work practically? No, obviously no. So how do we access these Visualforce pages? How will my end users access the Visualforce pages? Testing is done, pages are ready. How do the users access the Visualforce pages? So there are a few ways of accessing Visualforce pages. First is okay. So first is you override the standard Salesforce page with a Visualforce page. Okay, how do you do that? So right now, for example, your account detail page is the standard detail page, right? This is the standard detail page, Salesforce standard page. You have the option of overriding this using a Visualforce page. So that's one first option. How do you do that? It's pretty simple. You just need to go to setup, and then under setup you have to go to customize accounts. Okay. Under accounts you have to click on buttons, links and actions. Okay, now which page you want to override? The view page, the standard. So when you see go to button, links and actions, you will see there are so many pages associated with every object. There's an edit page, delete page, list page, new page, and there's a view page. I want to override the view page. Okay. And let's see which page we want to use for overriding. Okay, let's say I want to see my records in this format, in this tab interface. We created the tab interface. This is how I want to see the records. So what I will need to do, I will just need to go and override the standard page with this page 7. So all that you have to do, currently the view page is standard Salesforce page. All that you need to do is just click on edit. Currently it's no override, just change it to Visualforce page and select page 7. Save it. Alright, done. Now if you go and click on any account record, that account record will open in the page, that tab interface format. Now it's not going to use the standard format. It's going to use your Visualforce format. See, Dickinson, you just click on that record, click on Edge Communication. See, it has automatically taken the details of Edge Communications. Got it? So this is how it's gonna work. So earlier we were supplying the ID. Now since I've overridden the page, I don't have to supply the ID every time. You click on a record, automatically it opens it up in the Visualforce page format. Fine. So override standard page is one option. You can override a standard page using a Visualforce page. That's one way of accessing the Visualforce page, right? The second way is you can create a tab. Creating tab is pretty simple. You guys have done it while creating the app. Just need to go to setup, create tabs, and under tab you have an option of a Visualforce tab. So you can create a tab for a Visualforce page. you see this Visualforce tabs? Click on this. Which page you want to create the tab for? Page 11. What label you want to give? Account details, whatever. Just give it a label and a name, the way you created any other tab. See, there's a tab which I created account details. It's actually going to take me to that particular page, the Visualforce page. So you can actually access the Visualforce page through tab also. This is basically for your end users, right? How will they access? So if you have created a page and you want them to access, you also have an option of creating a tab and giving it to them. Okay. Another option is embed into standard page. The first thing that we did, we completely did an override of the standard page, which means the standard page was removed and Visualforce page was inserted. Okay, used there. Now, in case I don't want to remove the standard page, but I just want to embed the Visualforce page inside the standard page, then what do you do? There is other option, which is basically embedding the Visualforce page into the standard page. Okay, so it will be actually embedded into a standard page as a small section. How do we do that? For that, first of all, I will just go ahead and remove the override. Let me make it the standard page. Then only I can embed it inside the standard page, right? So I'll just go to account, button, links and actions, and I will go ahead and this is Visualforce page. I'll make it the default standard page again. So you can go back and again say no override, save it. Again, it becomes the default Salesforce page. Okay, now once it has become the default Salesforce page, all that I'll need to do is go to the page layout. Now I'm trying to embed a Visualforce page into the standard layout. How are you going to do that? Go to the page layout, and in page layout we have the option of calling the Visualforce page. So in page layout, if you see, there is this option of Visualforce page. So what you can do, you can just go ahead and call the Visualforce page in the page. Let's say I want to call it here. Let me first of all create a section here. One column section, Visualforce. Click on OK. Insert. So what is happening? My standard page also remains, and Visualforce page has been included as a small section here. Try to save this page layout, or yeah, let's save this layout and see how do we see accounts now. Click on a record. See, so this is appearing as a small section here. Your Visualforce page, and remaining is your standard Salesforce page. Got it? Apart from this, apart from these ways, you also have option of creating certain links which can connect to the Visualforce page. That's something which we will do in the sessions which we are still to do. But these are a few common ways of including your Visualforce page. Now, when you're designing a Visualforce page, definitely you have some requirement for that, right? Designing a detail page, you surely have some requirement for that detail page, correct? Your end users want to see data in that format. So when they want to see that data in that format, you have to understand whether they want the complete standard page to be removed and only the Visualforce format should be displayed. Then do an override. If you just designed a small portion using Visualforce and you just want to embed it into the standard page, then do the embedding. If you have created a page which they need to access, which is a generic page, basically, this tab is not for a standard controller. Tab is more for a standard list controller kind of a page, right? Because when you click on a tab, no ID is going to get passed, right? When I click on edge communication, ID of this record will be passed, right? So this, in this case, a standard controller page is fine because that requires an ID. But here, when you're creating a tab, you cannot use the standard controller pages because standard controller page is meant for only one record and it always requires the ID. Clicking on the tab is not supplying any ID to it. Got it? So for tabs, usually these kind of pages are fine. The standard list controller page. Here the ID is actually not required. Clear? Okay. Let me know if anyone has any question or doubt. And there are other ways of accessing the Visualforce page through the links on the Visualforce page itself. That's something which we are still to look into. So once we talk about a few other methods and all, then you will start understanding those things. So we'll talk about that. Let me know if you are clear on things so far. Any doubts, questions with passing parameters or with accessing the Visualforce pages?
Jake, I have a question.
Mhm.